Hey, what's happening guys, Chris here, with another one of those Battlefield 1 weapon guides. And today I'm going to be running over an absolute monster of a gun called the Villar Perosa. It's an elite sentry kit weapon which can terrorise the opposing team with double the firepower from its twin barrels, making it one of the deadliest weapons in the whole game. So the M1915 Villar Perosa machine gun is in fact two separate identical machine guns fixed together, side by side as a singular unit, with each of these guns being fed from their own top-loaded 25 round box magazines. Being an Italian weapon, it fired the 9mm Glacenti ammunition, which is the same cartridge that the Beretta M1915 pistol fired, a gun which can be found over on the support class. And this round had very similar dimensions to the 9mm Luger, but was a bit weaker in comparison. The Villar Perosa fired in full auto, and it fired very quickly, reaching speeds of up to 1,500 rounds per minute. And the fact that the Villar Perosa had two of these barrels meant that it could shoot even quicker still, essentially doubling the firepower, thus allowing the gun to reach speeds of up to 3,000 RPM when both triggers were pulled simultaneously. Being a weapon originally designed for aircraft use, it would have sat on a flexible ring mount and used by observers in planes, though units were converted to be used by ground troops later on in the war, with the addition of tripods and shoulder straps, providing soldiers with a portable automatic weapon who lacked any other type of machine gun at the time. Because its ammo capacity was fairly small, and because its fire rate was so rapid, this meant that it needed to be reloaded a hell of a lot, and the Villar Perosa was often fired one barrel at a time, with assistant gunners swapping over magazines as soon as they were emptied, which would help to achieve a more constant stream of bullets, but still not entirely continuous. The Villar Perosa was designed in 1914 during the Great War, with the intention of being an aircraft-mounted weapon to shoot down enemy planes and take out their pilots. And although it fired really quickly, those weak pistol cartridges just weren't powerful enough to do the job, as not only did it have a fairly limited range, becoming ineffective beyond about 180 meters, but with enemy aircraft becoming more durable and robust as the war progressed, this rendered the Villar Perosa as an unsuitable anti-aircraft weapon, and so it was repurposed for ground use a few years later. The problems it had in the sky persisted on the ground too, as despite firing at blistering speeds and being able to tear right through enemies in close proximities, its limited range and almost instantaneous ammo depletion made it a poor machine gun for supportive infantry fire, which would have been its primary use on the ground. Alpine troops had a bit more success with the gun, being a portable automatic weapon which could be carried and placed down for use in defensive positions, but it was still a bit of a fail in the sense of practicality overall. Well, up until the Villar Perosa was eventually disassembled into halves and given their own rifle-type stocks and triggers in 1918, with the guns originally forming the Villar Perosa being converted into their own individual single-barreled SMGs. This innovation also sparked the idea of the Beretta M1918, or Automatico in Battlefield 1. But with conflict coming to an end, although these weapons would be much more practical and suitable for infantry combat, they were developed just a bit too late to make any sort of substantial impact on the Great War itself. So let's run over those stats in Battlefield 1. Although the Villar Perosa might seem like an absolute wrecking machine most of the time, when it comes to power, the in-game version of the weapon reflects its real-life counterpart, as those 9mm Glacenti pistol cartridges aren't exactly going to dish out tons of damage on their own, especially at further distances where those rounds are going to deal considerably less, boasting some of the lowest range damage figures in the whole game. A point-blank range up to 6 meters, each bullet is going to deal 23 damage, so it's usually going to kill in 5 bullets up to 12 meters, though damage starts to drop off pretty early, dropping down to as low as 13.5 beyond 37 meters, meaning it can potentially take up to 8 rounds to kill someone any further than 30 meters, which is quite a lot of bullets. This means that the Villar Perosa has the same kind of stopping power as the assault class's Automatico M1918, and so every round that lands on target basically deals the same amount of damage as that. Though because you're firing from 2 barrels, each shot actually counts as 2 projectiles, so if your aim is on point, the gun can basically deal double the damage, giving you twice as much power than the Automatico. So technically, every shot can deal up to 46 damage, because there's 2 of them being fired simultaneously, allowing you to kill much faster. And this nicely leads me over to the next part of the guide, where we get to see how that extra power is further utilised by the weapon's rapid speed. Now this is the part where we get to highlight the elephant in the room, because even though the Villar Perosa fires some of the puniest bullets in the game that are only going to tickle your target in the distance, it can fire a ridiculous amount of them in an extremely short space of time. One of those barrels is going to shoot at the speed of 900 RPM, just like the Automatico, which is a pretty fast rate of fire as far as automatic weapons go in Battlefield 1. But of course, with the Villar Perosa having two of these barrels, both firing at 900 RPM, the weapon essentially fires at twice the speed, at 1800 RPM, doubling the firepower and halving the time it takes to kill an opponent. A quick pull of the trigger will provide you with enough shots to pepper a target with bullets and wipe them off the battlefield in the blink of an eye in CQC. And although it might take more hits to kill than most of the weapons in the game, down to it using that weaker cartridge, you're still going to be able to inflict lots of damage very quickly, as that fire rate definitely makes up for the gun's lack of power, granting it with some of the fastest kill times out of all of the automatic weapons in the game. Just imagine an Automatico which can kill in just 3 bullets, and that's the kind of kill time you're going to have at your disposal up close. Definitely something that your enemies should be trying to avoid. Even though it can take lots of rounds to kill someone further away, it can still do the job at a relatively quick pace, with it firing such a huge volume of bullets at such a rapid rate. Though it's still not going to be as effective at longer ranges, especially with the gun having a fairly low muzzle velocity of 380 meters per second too, giving each bullet a slower travel time than average, matching up with quite a lot of the close range SMGs. Now, interestingly enough, just like the other elite sentry kit weapon, the MG0815, the Villar Perosa can only be hip-fired, and can't actually aim down sights to boost accuracy like most other guns. It's got a vertical recoil figure of 0.38 and horizontal recoil figures of 0.4, so it's actually got a better overall pattern than the Automatico M1918, despite it being a heavier weapon. This recoil pattern is fairly similar to other SMG patterns, with the gun's upwards kick being almost the same as the Hellregal's factory variant, which is kind of average compared to the other submachine gun type weapons. Just like the other faster firing guns in the game, like the Fromastop Auto and Automatico, which share a lot of similar properties to the Villar Perosa, the gun's got a higher first shot multiplier than normal of 2 times, meaning that tap firing to control that recoil will be somewhat less effective, reducing its usability at range even more. One key thing to know is that because the gun is hipfire only, it actually doesn't have much of a penalty for hipfire spread when the weapon's being fired, as it's got exactly the same spread values as the other SMG trench variants, so in a sense, the gun's going to function like a slightly more controllable version of the Automatico trench when hip-fired. And although you'll still probably struggle to hit targets accurately far away without the ability to aim down sights, these lower hip spread values should still allow the Villar Perosa to be a very effective gun within those close to medium ranges anyway. Probably the biggest drawback to using the Villar Perosa is the fact that you'll constantly need to reload all of the time, to gain back the bullets lost from each spray of the gun. And because it shoots so bloody quickly, it only takes a brief moment to lose all of your bullets, rendering you as a very vulnerable target whilst trying to get that ammo back into the gun. The Villar Perosa holds 2 25-round magazines, and although it only looks like the gun holds a maximum of 25 rounds per reload, with the ammo counter showing 25 down at the bottom, each shot fired counts as 2 projectiles, which exit the gun's parallel barrels. So you're essentially holding 50 shots whenever the gun is at full capacity, with both barrels firing at the same time. The Automatico also has a magazine capacity of 25 rounds, so it's going to run out of ammo at the same rate as the Villar Perosa, meaning you're going to be reloading just about as frequently. But because you're slotting 2 magazines back into the Villar Perosa every time you reload, this is going to increase those reload times, bumping the tactical reload up to 3.6 seconds, and a full reload a whopping 5 seconds, almost double the time of an Automatico, making you a more vulnerable target in the process. But anyway, in conclusion, the Villar Perosa is definitely something your enemies should fear, and despite firing off some of the weakest rounds in the game, the gun is basically a hosepipe of death, cutting down players within close to medium ranges in the blink of an eye due to its rapid rate of fire. It's essentially like having 2 Automaticos strapped together to form a ridiculously deadly CQC weapon. But although the Villar Perosa might be able to kill faster than almost everything else in the game, you're still going to have to be quite smart about how you use the gun and take advantage of its power if you want to survive up on the front lines where the gun is going to be most effective. You'll only be able to hipfire with the Villar Perosa, but thankfully the hipfire spread is lower than a lot of the other weapons in the game. And even though you'll be firing off twice as many shots as an Automatico at the same speed, the Automatico is still generally going to be a bit harder to control, due to a higher vertical recoil figure, along with a stronger first shot multiplier, which basically makes the Villar Perosa a more accurate weapon when it comes to hipfire, even though it's got double the firepower. Though despite all of this, you might be able to blast out loads of bullets in a very short space of time, so killing lone players shouldn't be too hard to do. But those magazines are going to get emptied at a really fast rate, putting more pressure on you to hit your targets and constantly seek down cover, allowing you to refill your ammo in the heat of battle whilst avoiding enemy sightlines. It could take as long as 5 seconds to reload when those magazines are running dry. So 1 second you might be the most dangerous player on the battlefield, and then the next you'll be the most vulnerable. And that power is constantly being shifted between you and your enemies, depending on how much ammo you've got left over in the gun. If you're careful with the Villar Perosa and don't rush into dangerous situations too often with it, then you can fully utilise its lethality and survive long enough to help your team push forwards and capture an objective. It's an extremely deadly and pretty brutal gun, putting a lot of power in your hands. And so long as you're not too gung-ho with it, the Villar Perosa can be one of the most effective CQC weapons in the whole game, giving you a huge advantage in a close-range gunfight. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Hope you enjoyed the guide. Give me a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe for loads of other Battlefield videos coming soon. Thanks for watching, and I'll be seeing you in our next episode.